Hi my loves, welcome beautiful alchemists to elinasalchemy.com, and I welcome you to today's episode. Oh, I've said everything wrong so far. Hello and welcome to Elina's Alchemy. I welcome you beautiful alchemists wherever you come from. However you have bumped on this video, this has found you by resonance, and I'm so very happy to be rendezvousing with you. For those not new here, welcome back my loves. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that I'm being asked often. This question is always coming like from right or left in some way, shape or form, whether I'm doing healings or I'm sitting down with people to do tarot readings for them, or in conversations, how to use your spiritual power. There's a beautiful crow outside my window, just gorgeous. I find it so symbolic, just as we are starting to talk about spiritual power, how to use our spiritual power. Ravens and crows, just so you know, because you guys, I find these birds are so lovely. I love them so much. If I could, I would have one as a pet, but I find they've been so demonized, and a lot of people are ignoring this way that crows and ravens, they are symbols of spiritual power by means of intuition, inner sight, having the ability for clear vision. Now, having said that, I want to say the following about spiritual power. We all have spiritual power in the sense that we all have spirit, we all have a soul. What is our spiritual power? Our spiritual power is our emotions, our thoughts, our emotional energy, the energetic emanations that we can push outwards either by our thoughts or our emotions or our word, our speech. And what do we do with that? But also our actions, you guys, they are right the next step. How we play out, how we allow ourselves to fully embody our spiritual power through the very actions we are taking. Depending on what we do, I have found that our spiritual power can either expand or diminish. And so the first answer to the question, how to use my spiritual power, would be wisely. Use it very, very wisely. We want to make sure that we are putting it in the right things. Differently, we will end up depleted, we will end up drained if the things we are plugging into are not the right thing for us, in terms of if our divinity is negated or our spiritual power is negated or disgraced very often, then it's no wonder why we might be finding ourselves feeling depleted, or even worse, long-term having diminished so much our spiritual power that we are not spiritually sovereign anymore, but we have allowed ourselves to be controlled by a lot of different things externally. Now, I want to say that our spiritual power goes hand in hand with our free will, and so practicing our free will is using our spiritual power, is putting it to good use. Now, most of us, whether we like it or not, we came into this earth plane. The earth plane, in my view, used to be something else. The religious stories about the fall of mankind, to me, they speak of nothing other but the fall energetically, vibrationally, the frequency of the earth plane from Terra down to earth. That's, in my view, what the fall stories are like. The original sin, all of that stuff is like camouflaging a huge gap of human history that I believe is missing and we know nothing about. And during that time frame, I believe it was the time that this gradual diminishing took place of the earth plane. And so what the earth plane is nowadays is nothing like what it was originally. And so now the earth plane that we are called to interface with is very much so a structure that asks of us to abdicate and to relinquish our spiritual power, in the sense that relinquishing our sovereignty and our self-authority by having to obey laws or completely put the authority somewhere outside of ourselves, whether that be systems or other people in our social circles. And if you want proof of that, just think of the following scenario. You are being invited for Christmas to a family dinner that you absolutely don't want to go, but you have to. I always say, when it comes to family dinner, that's when our sovereignty goes out the window. It's like, but I have to. So it's all of these from the very, very stupid, silly, small things to the very big things, such as the types of careers that we choose based on what society dictates, and thus propelling ourselves into a direction where it's like we make our whole life purpose and our whole life path, we make it about something that maybe never even spoke to us in the first place, but we were told that it was going to bring us the financial stability, that we all so crave, because again, in this system, money is God. That's not to say that money is a bad thing, but everything can be beneficial, but it also can become very, very detrimental when we take that something and we make it God. We put it over everything else and over any, like all of our sets and of values and principles is like catering to that thing. That's, when we make that thing a God. And I think making anything other than our connection with truly with source, making anything but that a God, something to worship, is just wrong. And even God, source, the Godhead, the God spark within, even source doesn't ask us to worship it. That's a different thing. If we choose to give praise or to give thanks or to speak our love or through prayer or whatever, or offerings, but source never asked us to worship them, because we are them and they are us. We are one. Imagine if you were asking your hand to be worshiping you, and it's like, I'm your hand, I am you, we are one and the same. So, but if you are so corrupted in your consciousness that even your own hand, which is part of you, you would want to manipulate it, abuse it, use it, take everything out of it just for what you think is your own gain. Yes, you would go as far as to try to manipulate your hand and tell it, you need to be worshiping me. So that's exactly what has happened, the narcissism that has happened within the human psyche, I find, and has culminated into us as civilization creating structures that operate exactly this way. And that's why you don't see enough harmony in the world. You see that everybody is against everybody. But having said that, that's not all that exists. There is light, and we want to keep on aspiring to be the light. So in this sense, let's further talk about how we can put our spiritual power to good use, how we can use our spiritual power. So having explained a little bit already about what it means, what is our spiritual power, you understand that it is everything that you are, all that you are. And so every time you use intentionally your emotional energy, your intellectual capacity to envision or to channel or to create speech and word, to communicate or to take action towards anything, you are exercising your free will. You are using your spiritual power. And so we want to be using our spiritual power with integrity. Do good for others and for yourself. Don't sacrifice yourself, but also don't look to throwing others under the bus just because it serves you. Always try to find a middle solution. Try to walk the middle path. And when you see that others are not inclined to do that as well, this is a great time to use our spiritual power to say no more, to remove ourselves from situations where we realize that we are the only ones invested in making it work, and we are the only ones invested in doing good for ourselves and for others, and the others are only about taking that good which we very, very lovingly from our heart's desire give freely. Having said that, we want to be responsible with our spiritual power, as in we want to be careful with things that try to derail us. Now, this is something that we will have to deal with. For a while, I used to be very disheartened every time I would just look around and see how people are treating each other so terribly, or when I would get affected by others' hostile behavior, so to speak, towards me. But then I realized, hey, do you realize where you have come? You have come to a place that has fallen, quite frankly, as I said in my opening. And we are here to hopefully elevate it from within, from the inside. But this system, having been ruled for such a long time from energies that actually are having a great time and they prosper by that earth plane being on this low level, of course they're going to be resisting light workers. Of course they're going to be resisting and trying to bog down people who are awakening to the fact that we all have a spiritual power. And see, you are in this video because you're wondering, okay, I do have a spiritual power, I can feel it, how do I use it? So most people out there, and that's not to judge or anything, but it is what it is. Most people out there, they're not even conscious of the fact that we all have a spiritual power, and okay, what do we do with that? They only care about what they eat, what they can wear, what they can screw, what they can take advantage of, what they can acquire, as if there's no tomorrow, as if there's no others right and left of them, as if there is no environment around them or anything. A lot of people actually exhibit a behavior that you would question, and you would be like, are you okay? Are you so okay with what the world is like that you don't feel like there's anything you would like to do to try to make this a better place? So exactly because this is there's a big mass of that kind of individuals out there. Of course, the individuals that are waking up to their spiritual power, we have to be okay with the opposition that arises when we choose to be beacons of light. Because exactly this is where we have come. We have come at a dark place to be beacons. So of course the darkness is going to retaliate. And that's okay, in terms that it doesn't mean anything bad about us. It doesn't mean we are unworthy or unlovable or deserving of being attacked or whatever. No, it's the place. It comes with the territory. And again, this is coming from someone who used to get so disheartened and so heartbroken by all of that and taking it personally. But the reason I don't feel this way anymore is because I have understood who I am and what I stand for, which brings me to my next point in regards to how to use our spiritual power. And that is, use our spiritual power to understand ourselves and our path, to understand how we tick, and through that we're also going to be able to understand the other, whether others are like us or whether exactly others are not like us. But the number one reason why we go around life with delusions, and that often puts us in positions where we put ourselves in harm's way, quite frankly, because of our naivete or whatever, is because we don't understand ourselves and our path and what we have come here to do. And it's very difficult to be able to understand ourselves because we don't get healthy mirroring of who we are. We only get a lot of external input and the type of feedback that is constantly tried to shape us into something other than what we are. if you notice, even the schooling system or everything actually that we are interfacing with on the daily, it takes a great deal of, I don't know, strength maybe is the wrong word, but to not be pushed right and left into whatever identity is trendy or cool or deemed something to aspire to by society each time. And usually light workers, we do come in very strongly wired to have always like at the back of our minds, even if we have to go through, let's say, our childhood and our early adulthood, and we have to be like in social situations where we have to camouflage, we have to play a role in order to survive until the timing, the divinely appointed timing comes for us to it's like a little bit we're sleepers, and then the timing comes and we wake up to, oh my gosh, I'm here for actually to do completely different things. But so even while we're going through, pulling these masks on and playing these roles because we gotta survive somehow during the first phase of our journey, still we always have, and you will notice this is our common denominator, we always have at the back of our mind, we always knew, always this kernel of truth inside of us of who we really are and what we have come here to do. That's the reason why we always feel like we are like so different, and we have such a hard time to fit in. And in order to fit in, we're usually adopting all of these different personalities and identities that, once we start awakening to the fact that we do have a spiritual power, and what do I do with it, because we start to understand and feel the responsibility and the power that comes with that, that's when we start to understand also that I don't need all of these personalities or all of these identities, and we start to strike our own path. And striking our own path is the first step to using our spiritual power and striking our own path unapologetically and as much as possible. Maybe this cannot happen from day 1 to day 2, but definitely seeing to it that we're moving towards that direction. That's what also helps that light and that spiritual power that we have to expand. And from there and on, that brings me to the next point, using our spiritual power to manifest. Seriously, we're sitting around, and I feel like most of us, we're just expected to receive and accept reality as it is presented to us, while what we have come here to do is to reverse the script, to shape reality. We didn't come here to accept reality. We came here to, observe it, acknowledge it. It is what it is. Now let's shape it. Always when it comes to this issue, I always say your word is your sword. Prayer, petition, affirmations, commanding reality, speaking reality into reality. What did I just say there? But you get what I mean. It's so important that we verbalize, that we vocalize the visions that we have for ourselves. Journaling is also very important when it comes to helping us chew on whatever we feel, whatever insecurities or doubts might be bubbling up every time we try to speak a desired reality into being, and then these insecurities bubble up. It's great to go into examining. So that might sound simplistic, but you guys, there's tremendous spiritual power in sitting with ourselves, journaling, just a simple question: how do I feel and why do I feel this way? And start writing and writing and writing. It's a little bit like the one thing is gonna birth the other. You might end up writing for 3 hours, but you will have then come into a place of, look at how much was in my head. Freeing mental space so that we can be open to receive new visions, new downloads that are relevant to us versus everything that we are being bombarded with every single day. Having said that, using our spiritual power denotes also that we have that power to use it, and so that implies that we have taken steps to protect that spiritual power, which means it's a great thing to limit our exposure to content that does not remind us of our sovereignty and our spiritual power, and to limit exposure also to relationships or places where when you leave that place or that meeting you feel like a piece of crap. Doing that is not always easy because this system has ensured that there is a lot of repercussions and consequences if you try to do that. Like, people will be mad at you, social constructs like family and social groups where it's like there are actual repercussions if you like try to remove yourself from them. So I understand it, but I feel like in this time and age, researching and studying narcissism is going to help us a lot, because it's going to help us understand a lot of the things that we are interfacing with, where we're well-meaning, we don't see what's happening. We see it, but we don't understand it as what's happening. And so I feel like studying, and that's why a lot of light workers are actually having to deal with narcissists quite a lot early on their path, because we are actually meant to delve into studying narcissism, so we are able to understand how these systems work, narcissistic systems work, and how therefore to exit them with as less scars and wounds as possible, and to assist us in rehabilitating our energy right after and moving forward, continuing to use our spiritual power. Why I'm mentioning narcissism? Because I feel like from our birth, we are coming so much in contact with it. A lot of us are being raised by narcissistic parents, or at school, or wherever you go, you're bound to meet a lot of narcissists, because this is what thrives in this inverted system. And so pretending it's not there and pretending that everybody is our friend, it doesn't change the fact that at the end of the day, we still have to deal with relationships that we feel absolutely drained from, but can't find it in us to break free from. This is not because we are weak or anything. This is because the system, the structure is so deliberately created in a manner. So we are constantly questioning our judgment, questioning whether this is all in our head, and therefore postponing constantly our releasement from structures that don't work for us. Right, so moving on, we want to be using our spiritual power to manifest harmony for ourselves, to create shifts in our lives conducive to health. We want to be using our spiritual power to create, to expand our creative capacity. I like the way Stuart Pearce, the angelic emissary, is always putting it, where he says something along the lines that our purpose for being here is to explore and to expand our creative capacity while signing everything we do with the signature of excellence. We want to focus on using our spiritual power to elevate the world and ourselves, to heal ourselves and the world. And again, I find that this we can do through communing with the divine, communing with God, source, the bigger, the broader aspect of us out there. We have come down here, but we are still connected through the etheric cord, the silver cord. We are connected to that bigger part of us, which is source. We are source beamed down here. And that's why it's such a paradox when people are like fighting each other and are being so hostile towards one another. It's such a ridiculous thing, because it's like we're against our own selves. Now, I do have a little disclaimer though, that it's my personal belief and opinion that we don't all come from the same place. In terms of, when I look in the Akashic records, there is something called soul group of origination. Some of us are from different planetary star systems. Some of us are from other systems. There's I can never put in the same box, let's say, a soul that originated in Andromeda or an earther soul even. I can never put them in the same box with, let's say, a soul from Draconis, or I can never, it just is what it is. I don't go with judgment, but at the same time, I have to always be like, look at that. I didn't want to put in any preconceptions on you, but look at what you are acting out. Furthermore, I feel like a lot of people have been unfortunately infiltrated in so many different ways. Their consciousness has been infiltrated, and maybe we do come from the same place, but there is very little left in these people of what was originally authentically in them. So as I said again, protecting our light, protecting our spiritual power is important so that we have at all spiritual power to use for the betterment of this world and for the healing and the elevation of us and this world. We want to be using our spiritual power to build and create, to envision a new world based on principles that we wished we would have encountered through our own journey. We want to be using our spiritual power to enter co-creation with the divine. And also I want to say this, you guys, I find this question, how do I use my spiritual power? I find it very loaded because it implies that you are not using your spiritual power ever. And that's a lie. There's not a moment that you're not using your spiritual power. It's just the question, what are you using it for? Are you using it in a manner that negates the spiritual power, that just makes it spiritual emanation that gets wasted, or even worse, that is siphoned away or is feeding something else? Not you, not a better world, but something else, or the current very, very disharmonious world. Now at this point, I want to bring it back to you. I want you to think, to ask yourself, if I had spiritual power, what would I do with it? Do you have gifts? What gifts? Become a healer, channel. Would you go ahead and teach? Would you envision, conjure up, and then go ahead and create? Would you look around, take notice, and think of ways you can leave what you are seeing better than how you found it? Would you learn a healing modality and, heal people and nature? Would you do divination? Would you use your intuitive gifts to guide and teach? Would you use your talents to spread joy or to give information that empower others? And now these are very abstract and spiritual and up there concepts, but it could be as simple as, are you finding joy in cooking or caretaking others? So would you be using your spiritual power in taking care of others and nourishing them at the most basic level, caretake them and make sure their needs are met? These are all ways we could be using our spiritual power. Bottom line, your spiritual power is in everything that you do. You use it daily. You don't have to be a guru. You don't have to be something out there to consider yourself spiritually powerful. Spiritual power is something you already have. So now that you know that, go ahead and use it maybe way more mindfully, way more consciously, way more intentionally. I think the intention has been missing because we've all been going around just completely, wasting away our spiritual power. So if we know now these things, then we know how to be way more intentional with how we go about expressing, embodying, using our spiritual powers. Let's focus on doing everything that we do with spirit, putting our hearts in it, finding things that ignite us and honing on that. Now, if you are someone who, let's say, is in depression or dark night of the soul, or you've just been through a lot and you're, let's say, at this point where you're like, I don't know what sparks me up. Right now, nothing speaks to me. That's also all right. I don't want you to feel like something has gone terribly wrong with you. That's a very important part of the spiritual journey. I've been there myself multiple times. Every time I've ended up coming full circle with something. So don't be quick to write off anything and just allow yourself to go through this phase. Use this time to rest, recuperate, and to heal, because quite frankly, many of us, we enter these states because we've been exhausted from doing things that we never wanted to do. And by pushing ourselves into these shoes, like trying to fit in shoes that were never ours, we even lose connection with like what our soul was calling us to right at the beginning. So in these cases, we need recalibration. We need a time of rest, literally not doing anything, time to rest and heal through rest. And then we will start feeling something calling us again. You might see something and you're like, oh, that could be interesting. Get going with this one. It could guide you to the right next thing and the right next thing. So I would say follow the breadcrumbs and don't judge them for being breadcrumbs, okay? Because it's not the breadcrumbs maybe that you are to be doing, but the breadcrumbs are meant to take you to the next thing where maybe right there you're finding the very thing that you're supposed to be doing. Finally, I want to share 2 things that I find are very important when it comes to allowing ourselves to utilize our spiritual powers fully. Number 1 is to align our words, our thoughts, and our actions. Now, so often we are saying, I want to do this, wouldn't that be nice? Or we feel inside of us that I would like this is calling me that. But let's say the thoughts are out of whack. We might be thinking doubtful things. Prayer, call in assurance, call in confidence, rebuke energies that are bringing doubt and insecurity. Say, I rebuke this doubt. I rebuke this anxiety. It is not for me. I do not accept it. Think of it like that, my loves. Why? What's so wrong with you? What's so wrong with you that things would not work for you? And I know you might come with a page of answers to that question, but I'm going to question those very answers, whether these are really the truth inside of you or whether this is just crap that other people pushed on you, or crap experiences one after the other that were trying to derail you. Don't let them derail you. If you feel like you are not there where you're meant to be, then start speaking the opposite. Start calling it in. Use prayer, use petition. You guys, I wrote a whole freaking book last year and I put it out. It's called The Alchemy of Angelic Invocation. You can find it on Amazon. This is my story of how I overcame that plateau in my life where I almost lost my life and I was dealing with very, very difficult things, spiritual oppression, and just very weird things. I don't even want to be talking about them, but I've put everything in the book, and processes and channeled prayers, and how you can be working with the helpers that are around us, our angels, our archangels. You guys, they are there. As a clairvoyant, I see them. I see these blue flashes everywhere I go. I see them around people. I see them in my home. I see them out in nature. There is spiritual assistance. We cannot be expected to be utilizing our spiritual powers like ninjas, like pros down here, if we never actually utilize the connection that we have with the spiritual assistance. So call in spiritual assistance, ask for support in helping you use your spiritual powers, and get going with aligning your actions finally with the very thoughts and desires and emotions. So alignment, which means bring it all together. Did I say I am going to start a YouTube channel? What am I doing on a Thursday night? Am I watching Netflix? Or am I, let's say, scripting a video? Or am I going out in nature to download about a video, a message, something, a teaching? Or am I putting myself out there to attract clients so that they can come over and I can do healing work on them? It's now I'm saying very real life examples of what it was like for me back then. We all have these doubts. We must not let them win. Learn to use your words, my loves. Rebuke these energies. Say, I do not accept it. It is a lie. I do not accept the energy of doubt. It is a lie. And rebuke them. Command them to go away and never come back again. Of course, they're always going to be coming back because there are so many different sources that they're going to come back from, but we are going to be rebuking them nevertheless, sending them back out, away from us, and utilize whatever vocabulary works best for you. For me, what works is rebuking things in the name of the Christ. One and done. So this is the Christ within me, and it's not the Christ hanging from a cross in the church. That's how they want us to look at the Christ, as crucified, out and done. But this is not the Christ. The Christ is the divine solar light inside of us. It is very much so a masculine energy, our inner warrior, our inner spark energy, our anointed inside of us. And that is the part of us that can push us forward to take action, to shape things differently. Our feminine aspect is what we call Sophia, which in ancient Greek means wisdom. So our feminine is to become receptive to the wisdom, and our masculine is the Christ aspect, which is the masculine going ahead and doing, acting on that wisdom that we received through our feminine. So this is also how we utilize our spiritual powers, by integrating, owning both the masculine and the feminine. And let's accept that some of us are healers and some of us are warriors and some of us are both. So in this sense, we can either accept what is around us or go ahead and pivot by building the new. And I found that when it comes to pivoting, again, Christos, Sophia, the masculine and the feminine together in holy matrimony, as we say in alchemy. That's what we call the integration of the two. So, my loves, I hope this video finds you well, and I send you all of my love. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you soon again here. For anything you need me, feel free to reach me through my website, elinasalchemy.com, for readings and healing sessions and anything else. I wish you a beautiful day. Goodbye for now.